Hey, this is J.F.S, and you're listening to The Patriot on J.F.S Radio. The Patriot is my new show that is all about politics and doesn't deal with other topics like, my normal poetry, literature, music, religion. Religion may sometimes be involved, but politics is the main subject here. Welcome all of you to The Patriot. Let's begin. I'm going to cover two main topics today. The first main topic, I'll cover the question, has Obama done any good for this country whatsoever? The second topic is the recent flooding in Louisiana. Who helped? Who was supposed to help and didn't help? And what were the consequences? Okay, so getting on the first topic, President Obama, has he helped the country at all? Well, I'm just going to give you some figures, and we'll let you judge from there. Since President Obama has been in office, the national debt has jumped from $450 billion to $9 trillion. Okay? 1 in 5 families have no relatives in the labor force. 1 in 6 families have a family member that is incarcerated. 8 million illegal immigrants in the labor force, and 95 million Americans out of work. Okay? Now, from President Obama's health care bill, we've had the result of $4,100 on average increase per year in health care per household. Okay? We've had the worst recovery rate since 1940, the worst labor participation rate since the 1970s, and the lowest home ownership rate in 51 years. So let's see, 51 years, that would have been 1965. If I'm not mistaken, Lyndon B. Johnson was in the White House at the time. Okay? So, what next? Okay. African Americans. Has President Obama, since he is an African American, has he taken care of his own people? Well, I'll first start off by saying Democrats have not helped African Americans out at all. They've actually hurt them. In fact, they've actually been the driving force behind keeping them in the inner city areas. And yet, because of tradition, African Americans usually vote for Democrats. Let's just see what a Democrat, not only a Democrat, but a fellow African American has done for his own race. We have had a 58% increase on black Americans on food stamps. 20% increase out of the labor force. Home ownership rate is 4.6%. It's down 4.6%. Median household income is down 1.5%. So, when you ask the question, has he helped his own race even out at all? No, he has not. In fact, another figure showed in some inner city areas, 92% of African Americans are either on food stamps or out of work. So, has he helped them? No. Has any Democrat helped them? Well, let's see. The Ku Klux Klan was started by Democrats. It was Democrats who wanted slavery. Getting anything from this? Okay, I'll start off also. I'll finish by saying, no, I am not a racist. If that's what you're trying to hit at after my previous statements. No, I am not a racist. A lot of African Americans are very intelligent. The only reason why they vote Democrat is because of, number one, the media, number two, tradition. Their ancestors voted Democrat, their fathers voted Democrat, their grandfathers voted Democrat. It's just passed down by tradition. So, I don't care personally about race. Because, you could be a yellow man, a red man, a blue man, a purple man, a white man, a black man. I don't care. We all have the same rights. We all should have the same rights. Okay? This is the United States. Not only that, but we were all created equal, my friends. All races. Okay, so I'll continue on by saying mass shootings. These are 4 or more victims, including the shooter. Okay, this is per president. Ronald Reagan was in office for 8 years. There were 11 mass shootings during his presidency. George Bush Sr. was in office for 4 years. There were 12 mass shootings while he was in office. Bill Clinton was in for 8 years. There were 23 mass shootings while he was in office. George W. Bush was in for 8 years. There were 16 mass shootings while he was in office. Lastly, Barack Obama, 162 mass shootings while he was in office. This was as of a 6-year or 7-year point. Okay? So, the people who say he must have done some good for our country, this is what I've got to say. If a 1,000% increase in shootings, in mass shootings, is an improvement for our country, then Hitler was a major improvement. If you call that good for our country, then Hitler did plenty of good. And is it good? No. Violence is never good. So we've had a 1,000% increase on violence. We've had an 1,800% increase in the national debt. And we have plenty of other figures here that will say that Obama has not helped out our country at all. Okay, moving on. The recent flooding in Louisiana, how bad was it? Well, some places flooded there that haven't been flooded for 100 years. And it was mass flooding, okay? To the people who say Louisiana is always getting flooded, well, there were places here there were places this time that haven't been flooded for over 100 years. A lot of those places didn't even flood during Katrina. Okay? So, is this major? Yes, it is major. Okay? So, what am I hitting at? Well, and why did I mention who should have done something? Who actually did something? Well, I'll state this. President Obama was called by the governor when this happened. Where was he? Out on the golf course, as usual. President Obama has always been out on the golf course whenever something like this has happened in the country. I'm kind of sick of it, you know? I mean, there's like a red phone in the White House, okay? The president is always supposed to be there to answer that red phone, no matter where he is. Okay? It's not just in the White House, it's everywhere he goes. He should always be there to answer that red phone, even when he's on vacation. So, he was on the golf course, and he did not take the call till a couple days later. By then, a lot of locals already started pitching in, trying to help the people in Louisiana. By the way, the disasters in Louisiana, the recent disaster in Louisiana was not covered by the media. At least national media never covered this disaster. So, Obama should have done something. President George W. Bush stated that there was one thing that he believed ruined his reputation while he was president. And that was not picking up the red phone one time. President Obama has not picked up the red phone any time. Now, there is some debate whether the phone is actually the color red. Of course, it could be yellow, it could be blue, it could be white, it could be black, it could be green. Who gives a crap what color it is? The red is supposed to say red alert, okay? So, he stated that when the red phone was ringing after Katrina, because Katrina caused a major disaster in Louisiana, when he answered the red phone and did not come down immediately, he stated that that had ruined his reputation. And President Obama doesn't even answer it right away. He takes the call a couple days later and doesn't even come down until a couple weeks later. In fact, I'm not sure if he even went down. I don't think he did. Okay, who actually did something? The answer to that question is Donald Trump, the Republican presidential candidate. Okay, what he did was, as soon as he heard about the disasters, as soon as he heard about the mass flooding in Louisiana, how he heard about it, considering that it was not covered on national news, I don't know. But somehow he heard about it. And what did he do? He came down with a plane full of supplies Didn't bring the media with him, didn't want the coverage by the media. He came down with a plane full of supplies with his running mate, Mike Pence, and a few other people, and him, Mike Pence, and his people personally handed out supplies to those in need. This is compassion, if you ask me. He didn't care who heard about what he did. He just did it. He just came down to Louisiana and helped the people out when they were in need. People are saying that he's not fit to run the country, and yet he takes the time. He takes his valuable time to come down here and hand out supplies, personally hand out supplies to those in need. That is compassion. That is what we want in office, not someone who stays on the golf course most of the time. Okay? Just to say what Hillary Clinton was doing, she was minding her own business. She was probably in hiding, as she has been on and off throughout the entire election. Now, a lot of people are also telling me that neither candidate is fit to be president. Well, out of that act of compassion from Trump towards the American people, as well as several other actions that he has done throughout his entire career for people, you're going to tell me he's not fit to be president? He loves the American people, and yet you're going to tell me he is not fit to be president? Okay, this is how I feel. If you're not voting for Trump, you're voting for Hillary. And don't even get me started on how bad Hillary Clinton is. We'll discuss that on later episodes. Don't even get started on Donald Trump's past compared to Hillary Clinton's past. Don't even get started on any of that. Because Donald Trump is a lot better, has a lot better of a history than Hillary Clinton does. Altogether. And I know I got a little off topic here, but when we compare the two candidates on who actually did something for the American people, Donald Trump did. Donald Trump cared enough to know what was going on in every part of the country, and he cared enough to actually come down and help people. What else has he done? He's raised $7 million for veterans. People that Obama and Hillary Clinton have not even cared about. Their policies have basically treated our veterans like crap, and that's the truth. $1 million of that $7 million was his own money, Donald Trump's own money. Now, I know that's not a lot of money compared to what he actually has, but it's still something. It's a lot for those veterans that need it. Every little bit helps. So we have the veterans, we have Louisiana. He's done those two things before even going into office. And that's just during his election. That's just during the election. If we look into the past, he's done so much good it outweighs the bad. Okay? I'm not saying he's a saint. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying we should look up to him as he's God, as if he's God. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's a good-hearted man. I'm saying he's a really good-hearted man, and the good outweighs the bad. Okay, so that's it for today's show, and I hope you continue listening. Please subscribe to J.F.S. Radio, and have a blessed day. God bless you all. God bless America, and have a good one. Good night.